In the previous class, few people remind, we were discussing about purchasing power parity. We discussed that the prices of two goods in two countries will be the same if we consider exchange rate into account. We discussed about this in detail. Now, today we are going to discuss criticism on this theory. Criticism of purchasing power parity theory. The first limitation on this theory is the limitations of the price index. What is price index? Basically, in two countries, suppose this is one country and this is another country. Now here, the goods included in the price index, these are different. And the goods included in the price index in this country, these are different. Price index, keep in mind, you know about the inflation. The prices of goods, when increases continuously in a country, that situation is called inflation. And for calculating this thing, some basic necessities are included to measure this inflation. And for measurement of this thing, the goods which are included in, they made basically some goods, they included some goods for measurement of this thing, and they call this thing price index. So some goods are included in measurement of the price index, but in one country the goods which are included, in other country these goods are different from that. So we are talking about the price index. For measurement of inflation, some goods are included. We call this thing as a price index. So the price index in one country and the price index, the goods included in price index in the other country, these are different. The PPP theory uses the price index in order to measure the changes in the equilibrium rate of exchange. However, price indices suffer from various limitations, and thus the theory too means there are weaknesses in the price index. Some goods which are included in the price index, maybe there will be some problems. So because of this thing, they raise the point that there are weaknesses in the price index, which we are taking in the measurement of purchasing power parity theory. In the previous class, we discussed that the prices of goods and services in two countries will be the same if we consider the exchange rate into account. Means the prices of goods and services, it affects the exchange rate, the rate of exchange between two countries. But the goods which are included in the price index, there are problems in that. The second thing, that it is an unrealistic approach. Since the PPP theory uses price indices, which itself proves to be unrealistic. The reason for this is that the quality of goods and services included in the indices differ from nation to nation. There is another point. That first, there are weaknesses in price index. And the second thing, the goods included in the price index, there will be a difference in quality of these goods. Now, the quality of goods in Afghanistan and the quality of goods in UK, there will be a big difference in these. You know, there are quality standards in Western countries. Here in our country, there are no quality standards. So, the quality of goods in our country, it is weak. And the quality of goods in Western countries, it is what? It is very good. But we are not considering the quality of goods in two countries. We took the example of cricket bats in Afghanistan and UK, but we didn't consider the quality of the cricket bats in these two countries. So the quality, which is a very important factor in measurement, we are ignoring that quality between these two countries. The quality of cricket bats, there will be a big difference in Afghanistan and the quality of cricket bats in UK. But in our theory, we did not consider that thing. So here, he's telling you, since the PPP theory uses price indices, which itself proves to be unrealistic. First point, they raise that first point. The reason for this, why there are weaknesses, because in price indexes, we are not considering the quality. I told you the price index. So, the reason for this is that the quality of goods and services included in the indices differ from nation to nation. Thus, any comparison without due significance for the quality proves to be unrealistic. So, if you are not considering the quality between in measurement of the PPP, then it will be an unrealistic approach. Unrealistic assumptions. It is yet another valid criticism that the PPP theory is based on unrealistic assumptions, such as the absence of transportation cost. I told you that the price of cricket bats in Afghanistan is 150 and the price of the cricket bats in UK is 40 pounds. And when we convert it to pounds, it becomes 15 pounds. So what will people do? People will go from UK to Afghanistan to buy cricket bats and will take it back. But when people will go from UK to Afghanistan, there is transportation cost, and when they will take these bats back to UK, so for carrying the bats from, because they will purchase these bats in big quantity, in bulk, so when they will send it back to UK, there will be transportation cost, but we are not considering that transportation cost. So when there is a transportation cost, suppose that transportation cost is again $25, 25 pounds. So again for one bat, suppose. So again the price will become equal, 40 pound here and 40 pound here. So there will be no, but we are not considering the transportation cost. When we were studying that, we studied that they will take bats from Afghanistan to UK, but we didn't consider this thing, transportation costs. And another thing, when they will cross the borders, so they will pay the taxes, different type of tariffs, different type of quotas, etc. They consider that there will be free trade between these two countries, but there is no free trade between UK and Afghanistan. In free trade, there will be no taxes, there will be no tariffs, there will be no quotas. But here we consider that there will be no transportation cost, which is an unrealistic assumption. There must be transportation cost when you will take goods from one country to another country, and there will be taxes if there is no free trade. But in PPP theory, we assume that there will be free trade between two countries, but there is no free trade between in all the world. In some countries there is free trade, European Union, but in majority of countries there is no free trade. It is yet another valid criticism that the PPP theory is based on the unrealistic assumptions such as absence of transport cost. Also, it wrongly assumes that there is absence of any barriers to international trade. I told you about that. The taxes, different type of tariffs, quotas, and these things. So they consider that there will be absence of any barrier to international trade, which is also an unrealistic assumption. Neglects impact of international capital flow. Capital flow means when capital, money, is going from one country to the other country, or from the other country it is going into your country. The money, the capital, the investments, when they are moving from one country to the other country. So here he's talking about this. The PPP theory neglects the impact of international capital movements on the foreign exchange market. They didn't consider this thing, that when capital will move from one country to the other country, there will be an impact on the exchange rate. There must be an impact on the exchange rate. You know, at one time, $1, it was equal to 45 Afghanis. But then, a lot of capital, it moves from Afghanistan to different countries. Like they took their money, they went to Dubai, Turkey, and different other countries to invest their money. Why? Because there was the situation in Afghanistan, it was not good. People, they were thinking that when US army, it will go from Afghanistan, so again there will be the same situation in Afghanistan. So what they did, they took their capital and they moved to different countries, like they went to Turkey, they went to Dubai, and different countries. So the exchange rate now, it went up from 45, then it goes to 50, 55, 60, 65, then it went to, now today it is $1 to 80. So it is telling us that the movement of capital, it is affecting the exchange rate between two countries. International capital flows may cause fluctuations in the existing exchange rate, and it is telling us that the the movement of capital, it fluctuates the exchange rate. But in PPP theory, they didn't consider this point. Rare occurrence. Rare occurrence means that the PPP theory is in contrast to practical approach, because the rate of exchange between any two countries based on the domestic price ratio is very rare occurrence. It is very rare, it is in very few situations it will be the case that the prices of goods in two countries will be the same if we consider the exchange rate into account. So it is telling us that there is very rare occurrence of this thing, that the prices of goods in two countries, it will be the same. So we discussed about the limitations of the PPP. The first limitation is the price index, that we are taking the price index in purchasing power parity theory, and the price index itself, there are a lot of weaknesses. There are a lot of weaknesses in the price index. The goods included in price index, in some country some goods are included, but in other country these goods are not included, and the quality of the goods in these, it is also not considered. The second, it is an unrealistic approach, because we are not considering the quality of goods and services in purchasing power parity theory. And you know, the quality is the most important thing. The quality of goods in Afghanistan and the quality of goods in our example, the quality of goods in Afghanistan and the quality of goods in UK, it will be different, and we are not considering that. If we will take the quality of goods, the quality of cricket bats in Afghanistan and the quality of cricket bats in UK, so the UK bats, their quality will be much more better than the quality of cricket bats in Afghanistan. But in PPP theory, we are not considering that point. The third criticism, it is an unrealistic approach, because we are not taking, the assumptions of this theory, there are weaknesses in the assumptions. The assumptions are not good, because they are not considering the transportation cost, which is the most important factor in international trade. That the transportation cost is very important factor in international trade, but we are not considering the transportation cost. Means when we will take the cricket bats from Afghanistan to UK, there must be transportation cost and there must be barriers to international trade. Means there will be tariffs, there will be quotas and these things. But we are not considering that thing. The next thing that there is a criticism on that is international capital flow. That exchange rate is also affected by international capital flow. But this theory, it is not considering the capital flow, that there is impact of capital flow on the exchange rate between two countries. But the PPP theory, it is not considering the capital flow, that there will be impact on exchange rate because of the movement of capital from one country to another country. And the last thing is rare occurrence, means that the prices of goods and services in two countries, it will be the same if we will consider the exchange rate into account, but there is very rare occurrence of this thing, that there will be the prices of goods and services in two countries will be the same if we consider the exchange rate into account. Means there will be very rare chance of this thing, that the prices of goods and services in two countries will be the same if we consider the exchange rate into account. Inshallah, in the next class, then we will discuss about absolute purchasing power parity and the relative purchasing power parity. For today, it is enough. Assalamu alaikum.